Have you ever met someone who never starts a conversation and just assumed they were shy? The truth might surprise you. There is so much more going on beneath the surface. These quiet individuals carry hidden strengths. Their silence is not a weakness at all. It is actually a powerful psychological trait. Most people completely misunderstand them. Society often labels them as antisocial. But science tells a very different story. Researchers have studied this behavior for years. The findings challenge everything we thought we knew. Quiet people are not broken or afraid. They are wired differently in fascinating ways. Their brains process social situations uniquely. They pick up on things others completely miss. They notice the smallest shifts in energy. They read between the lines effortlessly. And they do all of this without saying a word. So before you judge the quiet person in the room, take a moment to understand what drives them. You might discover they are the most perceptive person around. You might realize they care more deeply than anyone. Their silence speaks louder than most words ever could. Let us explore 3 psychological traits behind this behavior. These traits will change how you see quiet people forever. The first trait is an incredibly high level of observation. People who do not initiate conversations tend to watch closely. They are what psychologists call introspective observers. This means they absorb information constantly and quietly, while everyone else is talking over each other. These individuals are reading the entire room. They notice when someone is feeling uncomfortable. They catch the subtle shift in a coworker's mood. They detect tension before it even becomes obvious. A person named Marcus once worked in a large office. He rarely spoke up during team meetings at all. His colleagues thought he was disengaged and distant. But Marcus was paying attention more than anyone else. He noticed when his manager Rachel seemed stressed. He picked up on small changes in her tone of voice. He saw when she was overwhelmed with her workload. One day Rachel was struggling with a major deadline. Nobody on the team offered to help her out. But Marcus quietly stepped in without being asked. He reorganized the project files she needed most. He prepared a summary that saved her hours of work. Rachel was stunned by his thoughtfulness and timing. She had no idea he had been observing her struggles. That single act of quiet support changed everything. Rachel began to trust Marcus more than anyone on the team. She started coming to him for advice and input regularly. Marcus never had to be loud to earn her respect. His observation skills did all the heavy lifting for him. This is the power of being a silent watcher in life. These individuals process social cues at a deeper level. They do not just hear words in a conversation setting. They analyze tone and body language and facial expressions. They understand context better than most talkative people. Research in behavioral psychology supports this pattern strongly. Studies show that introverted observers score higher on empathy tests. They also perform better in tasks requiring emotional intelligence. Their brains are wired to pick up nonverbal communication. This gives them an enormous advantage in social dynamics. They might not start the conversation with you directly, but they already know how you are feeling inside. They already understand what you need before you say it. This is not a deficit in social skills at all. It is actually a superpower hiding in plain sight. Think about the quiet person in your own life right now. They probably notice things about you nobody else does. They probably remember small details you once mentioned casually. They probably show up for you in quiet but meaningful ways. That is the gift of high observational awareness at work. It makes them incredibly valuable in any relationship or team. Employers are beginning to recognize this trait more and more. Quiet employees often catch errors others overlook completely. They identify problems before they escalate into bigger issues. They provide thoughtful solutions instead of reactive knee-jerk responses. Their silence is not empty or passive in any way whatsoever. It is full of active listening and careful mental processing. So never mistake a quiet person for someone who is checked out. They are often more engaged than the loudest person around. The second trait is a careful approach to sharing personal information. People who do not start conversations are slow to open up. They do not reveal their thoughts or feelings right away. In psychology, this is known as selective self-disclosure. It means they choose very carefully who gets to know them. They do not hand out personal stories to just anyone at all. They wait until trust has been firmly established first. This might seem cold or distant to people on the outside, but it is actually a deeply intelligent social strategy. Think about it from their perspective for just a moment. When you share personal information too quickly with strangers, you risk being judged or misunderstood, or even manipulated. Quiet people understand this risk on an instinctive level deeply. They protect their inner world like a precious resource always. A woman named Elaine experienced this pattern her entire life. She had a small circle of friends she trusted completely. But outside that circle she kept conversations very surface level. At her new job, coworkers tried to get to know her quickly. They asked personal questions during lunch breaks every single day. Elaine would smile politely and give brief general answers only. She never shared anything deep or meaningful with them early on. Some coworkers started to think she was unfriendly or cold. They whispered that she thought she was better than everyone. But that was not the truth about Elaine at all actually. She was simply waiting to see who was truly trustworthy. She was observing how her coworkers treated other people around them. She watched how they reacted when someone made a mistake at work. She noticed who gossiped and who kept things confidential and private. After several months, Elaine identified one coworker named David. David was consistently kind and respectful to everyone on the team. He never spoke negatively about others behind their backs ever. He showed genuine interest without being pushy or intrusive at all. Elaine slowly began opening up to David over time gradually. She shared some of her personal struggles and past experiences. David listened without judgment and offered thoughtful support always. Their friendship became one of the strongest in the entire office. Other coworkers were surprised by how close they had become. They wondered how David had broken through her quiet exterior shell. The answer was simple and backed by psychological research clearly. David had earned her trust through consistent and genuine behavior patterns. Elaine practiced selective disclosure, which is psychologically very healthy. Research shows this approach leads to deeper and more meaningful bonds. People who open up to everyone often form shallow connections only. They have many acquaintances but very few truly deep friendships overall. But selective disclosures like Elaine build fewer but stronger relationships. These relationships tend to last longer and provide more emotional support. They are built on a foundation of mutual trust and genuine respect. This is why quiet people often have incredibly loyal friend groups. Their friends know they earn that trust through patience and consistency. Being let into a quiet person's inner world is a true privilege. It means they have observed you and found you worthy of trust. It means they believe you will handle their vulnerability with care. This careful approach to self-disclosure is not a social flaw whatsoever. It is a sophisticated emotional intelligence strategy that works beautifully. Psychologists actually recommend this approach for healthier relationships overall. Sharing too much too fast can create uncomfortable social dynamics quickly. It can lead to regret and broken trust and emotional exhaustion too. Quiet people avoid these pitfalls by being patient and deliberate always. They understand that real connection takes time to develop properly. They know that quality matters far more than quantity in relationships. So if a quiet person has opened up to you, feel honored genuinely. You have passed their careful evaluation process successfully and completely. They see something in you that made them feel safe and understood. That is one of the highest compliments anyone can ever receive truly. The third and final trait is an extraordinary level of consideration for others. People who do not initiate conversations often overthink social interactions. They worry about bothering someone or interrupting their day constantly. They ask themselves questions like, what if they are too busy right now? They wonder if their message or greeting will be welcome or annoying. This pattern is called over-adaptation in psychological terminology specifically. It means they prioritize the comfort of others above their own needs. They would rather stay silent than risk making someone uncomfortable ever. This might sound like a limitation, but it comes from deep empathy. These individuals genuinely care about how their actions affect other people. They do not want to impose themselves on anyone for any reason at all. A man named Thomas struggled with this his entire adult life completely. He always wanted to reach out to people he cared about deeply. But every time he picked up his phone, he hesitated and stopped. He would type a message and then delete it multiple times over. He convinced himself the other person was probably too busy today. He told himself they would reach out if they wanted to talk really. Thomas was not indifferent or uncaring in any way, shape, or form. He was actually one of the most thoughtful people you could meet. His hesitation came from past experiences that left deep emotional marks. When Thomas was younger, he had reached out to a close friend eagerly. He had shared something personal and vulnerable with complete trust openly. But that friend responded coldly and dismissed his feelings entirely then. That experience created a wound that affected Thomas for many years after. He started believing that reaching out would lead to rejection or pain. He developed a pattern of holding back to protect himself emotionally always. Psychologists call this learned avoidance based on negative social conditioning. It is more common than most people realize in everyday life actually. Many quiet people carry similar invisible wounds from their past experiences. A harsh rejection or a dismissive response can shape behavior for decades. It teaches the brain that initiating contact is risky and potentially painful. So the brain develops a protective mechanism of staying quiet and waiting. But here is the beautiful part of this particular psychological trait, honestly. Even though these individuals hold back from initiating conversations openly, their care and consideration still radiates outward in subtle, powerful ways. Thomas might not call his friends, but he remembers their birthdays always. He sends thoughtful gifts that show he truly listens and pays attention. He shows up when it matters most without needing to be asked directly. His friends describe him as the most reliable person they have ever known. They say he has a quiet warmth that makes them feel safe and valued. This is what psychologists refer to as silent compassion or quiet kindness. It is a form of love and care that does not need words to exist. It shows up in actions and gestures and consistent, reliable presence over time. People who experience this kind of quiet thoughtfulness never forget it. It leaves a lasting impression that loud words often cannot achieve at all. The consideration these quiet individuals show is genuinely remarkable and rare. They think about the impact of every interaction before it happens carefully. They weigh their words and actions with extraordinary care and precision always. They would never want to burden someone with an unwanted conversation or request. This level of empathy is a gift that the world desperately needs right now. So when you think about the people in your life who never reach out first, consider that their silence might be an act of love and not indifference. Consider that they are thinking about you more than you could ever realize. Consider that they care so deeply it actually prevents them from speaking up. These three traits together paint a powerful picture of quiet individuals everywhere. They are highly observant, picking up on details others miss completely daily. They are carefully selective about who they trust with their inner world. And they are deeply considerate, always putting others' comfort before their own needs. This combination makes them some of the most trustworthy people you will ever meet. They are the ones who notice when you are struggling before anyone else does. They are the ones who remember the small things that matter most to you. They are the ones whose friendship, once earned, lasts an entire lifetime faithfully. Society needs to stop seeing quietness as something that needs to be fixed. Not everyone needs to be outgoing and chatty to be a good communicator truly. Some of the best communicators express themselves through actions, not words, consistently. They listen more than they speak and observe more than they react impulsively. These are strengths that deserve recognition and appreciation from all of us. If you are someone who does not initiate conversations very often yourself, know that your quiet nature is not a flaw or something to be ashamed about. It is a reflection of your depth and your empathy and your careful nature. The people who truly matter will recognize and appreciate these qualities in you. They will value your silence as much as your words when you choose to speak. And if you know someone who fits this description in your own life today, take a moment to reach out to them and let them know you appreciate them. Sometimes quiet people just need to know that their presence is truly valued. A simple message can mean the world to someone who hesitates to reach out. It can break down years of learned avoidance and open up beautiful connections. Now I want to hear from you in the comments down below this content. Are you the type of person who initiates conversations easily and naturally? Or are you someone who tends to wait for others to make the first move? Share your experience because your story might help someone else feel understood. It might help someone realize they are not alone in feeling this exact way.